Alright, this is Test Doctor video for test number 6, and I've already started on this problem. So just a reminder, the area for a parallelogram is found by multiplying base times height. The base of this parallelogram is 15, and the height equals 10. Remember, the height is always found where there's a right angle, because it has to be a straight line. So 15 times 10 is 150. And then it's feet squared, so 150 feet squared. If you missed that, your new problem is this one. Find the area of this parallelogram. Okay, question number 2 is another parallelogram. Find the area of this parallelogram. So remember, area equals base times height. My base on this one is actually 50, and my height is 120. The height is always the one with the right angle. Okay, so I know that 5 times 12 is 60, and then I need to add 2 zeros for these 2 zeros. So my answer should be 6,000 millimeters squared. Okay, if you missed that one, please try this one. Find the area of this parallelogram. Okay, question number 3 is triangles. Moving on to triangles. So remember the formula for a triangle. Area equals base times height divided by 2. My base is 20. My height is 7. And then I divide by 2. 20 times 7 is 140. And 140 divided by 2 is 70. So my answer is 70 meters squared. Okay, if you missed number 3, please try this problem. Find the area of this triangle. Pause that so you can take a minute. Okay, moving on to question 4, another triangle. Area equals base times height divided by 2. My base is 5. My height is 24. Divided by 2. I'm actually going to do this 24 divided by 2 now. I know that 24 divided by 2 is 12. So I can just do 5 times 12, which equals 60 inches squared. And that is my answer. Now you could use your calculator, and you could do 5 times 24, which would equal 120, and then you would divide 120 by 2, which would also give you the 60 inches squared. Okay? If you missed that problem, number 4, I need you to try this. Find the area of this triangle, please. Okay, moving on, we've got question number 5. We're with trapezoids now. So, the area for a trapezoid, mixing it up a little bit, you have to add the bases. Base 1 plus base 2 times the height, and then divide by 2. So you've got 5 plus 11 times 8 divided by 2. This is base 1, this is base 2, and this is the height. Okay, so 5 plus 11 is 16. Okay, then I do 16 times 8, which equals 128. And then I divide that by 2, which equals 64. Notice how I pushed enter after each one. That's just so that we don't mix up the order of operations, okay? I recommend doing that. So 64 meters squared is what you should have got on number 5. If you missed that, try this, the area of this trapezoid. Pause that and go ahead and do that one. Oh, I need the paper still. Question number 6 is on the bottom of that. So same thing. Area equals base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. Base 1, it tells you, is 5. Base 2 is 11. And the height is 14. And we're going to divide that by 2. So 5 plus 11, that's 16. We're going to do 16 times 14. And then divide by 2. So 16 times 14. Whoops. Clear that. 16 times 14. 224. Then I divide divided by 2, which equals 112 centimeters squared. Okay, if you missed that one, please try this problem where you find the area of this trapezoid. Okay, now we're moving on to composite figures. This is when we have two figures, two shapes into a bigger figure. So this is a parallelogram. The formula for the area of a parallelogram is base times height. This is a rectangle. The formula for a rectangle is area equals length times width. So on this one, it's 15 times 7, and that equals 105. And then this parallelogram would be 15, because it's the same as this side, 15 times 5, which equals 75. Then if you remember, I need to add these two together. So 75 plus 105 equals 180 yards squared. So add those, get 180 yards squared. Okay, so if you missed that, I want you to find the area of this figure. Same thing, it's a parallelogram and a rectangle, just like your test. You just have different numbers. Okay, let's do one more composite figure. This is a rectangle, and that area is length times width. And this is a triangle, so that area equals base times height divided by 2. Okay, let's do the rectangle first. I've got 32 times 12, and that equals 384. For my triangle, my base is 32 again. My height is 20. So I'm going to do 32 times 20. And then remember, it's half of a square or a rectangle, so I have to divide that by 2, which equals 320. So my last step is to add the 384 to the 320, which gives me 704 feet squared. Okay, if you missed that, please find the area of this composite figure. Okay, and this one should look familiar. We have done this in class, we've done it in our review, so you're just going to split it either there or there, and solve. Okay, this one, find the perimeter and the area of the polygon with the given vertices. What polygon did you make? Okay, there's a couple of different ways you could do this. First of all, you could look and see, well actually, we're going to graph it. Okay, so A equals over 2 and up 5. Plot it, label it. B is 0, 0. And C is 3, 2. So, what shape did I make? I made the polygon name is going to be a triangle, right? Because there are 3 points, straight lines. Now I need to find the area. So I'm going to need to know the distance between my x's for my height, okay? So my height goes from this 5, from 5 down to 2, which is 3. And my base right here goes from 0 over to 3, which is also 3. So if you do, now I told you guys that when you do triangles, you can actually do because you don't know what they would be, because this is not a straight line. If it was 3, 5, and 3, 2, that would work. So guys, if you miss this one, skip this on the test, doctor, and come and talk to me, okay? So we're going to skip number 9, and I'm going to maybe have to fix that on the test before we give you the test. So, good thing I did that. But the next one is similar. Question number 10. And this one, this polygon is going to be a square, I'm pretty sure. Because you would graph this, go 4, 1, 9, 1, that's G, H, and you do 9, 3, which is J, and then K is 4, 3. Yeah, so this is a nice rectangle. This one you can find the perimeter and the area. So the perimeter is going to be, how many did we go on the y-axis? We went from 1 to 3, which is a jump of 2. And you can look at this one and this 3 and know that that's also a jump of 2. Okay? And then on our x-axis, we go from 4 to 9. So from 4 to 9 here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So for perimeter, remember, we add up all of the sides. So 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12, plus 2 is 14. So my perimeter is going to be 14 units. My area, however, is just the length times the width. So 5 times 2, which is 10 units, and the polygon name would be the rectangle. Now, once again, if you missed number 9, the triangle, come talk to me. But if you missed this one, you can go ahead and solve it. Okay? And I would like you to do this one as your new problem. Okay, for number 10. All right, number 11. This is getting into the review problems. What is the value of the expression when x equals 3? And there's a hint. Remember to use GEMDAS. So I taught you to always put parentheses wherever there is an x, so that you remember to do the order of operations. Then plug in what x equals. X equals 3. So everywhere there's parentheses, you put a 3. Now, follow GEMDAS. Grouping symbols right here, 15 minus 10. So I'm going to keep these all the same. 15 minus 10 is 5. So now my grouping symbol, done. Okay, next we've got the exponent. I've got this one right here. 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, right? So it's going to be 2 times 9. Okay, so my exponent's gone. Multiplication division, I've got 2 of those right here. Remember when a number is in parentheses, this means multiply. So 2 times 9, that's 18. 3 times 3 is 9. Keep the 5. Now we just do addition and subtraction from left to right. So 18 plus 9, that is 27. And 27 plus 5 is 32. So you should get 32 on that one. Now if you missed that, I need you to do, let's see if I can find it, this one right here. Same type of problem. Plug it in, solve, you make sure you use GEMDAS. Okay, number 12 says, write the expression, the product of y and 5 divided by 2. Circle the numbers, y, 5, and 2. Underline the operation words. Product and of are both multiply and divided by. So product of y and 5, that means we are multiplying y and 5. And then dividing by 2. Now, I want to make this look like algebra because you're not going to see this for the rest of your math career. When I do multiplying y and 5, I write that like this, 5y. That means to multiply. And divided by 2, I always write that as a fraction. So this is what I want to see. And you should have typed that in with a backslash like that. Okay? I can't remember if this accepted that answer or not, so you'll have to look that up. If you missed that problem, I would like you to do this one. The product of x and 4 divided by 3. If you get it correct, you get the points back. Okay, question number 13. Simplify the expression by using distributive property and then combining like terms. So first we've got 9 times w. That equals 9w. Then we multiply 9 times 6. 9 times 6 equals 54. Now, I do not multiply this 4 by 9 because it's not inside the parentheses. I do not share 9 with 4. It's outside, it's got a separate sign, so I do not. Okay, so that was the distributive property, done. But then it says combine like terms. So, 9w, that's a term, 54 is a term, and 4 is a term. I cannot combine w's and numbers. I can only combine numbers with numbers, w's with w's, x's with x's, etc. So I'm going to keep 9w by itself, but I am going to combine 54 and 4 because they're numbers, they're the same family. 54 plus 4 is 58, so that is my answer. 9w plus 58. If you missed that problem, please try this one. Okay, question 15. Solve the inequality. b plus 10 is less than 4. First, I draw railroad tracks and circle the variable. I need to get the variable alone. What is this 10 doing? It's adding. To get rid of adding, I do the opposite, which is subtracting 10. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do the other side. So 10 minus 10 gives me a 0. So v is now by itself. I keep the same symbol that I have in the middle, the less than symbol, and then I do 14 minus 10, which is 4. So v is less than 4 as my answer. If I plug it back in, is 4 plus 10, 14? Yes, it is. If I graphed that, which you didn't have to, but I want to remind you what this looks like. You would plot 0, you would plot 4. You would do an open circle because there is no line under, and then you would shade everything less than 4, or to the left. Okay? So if you missed that problem, please do this one. Solve this inequality, and then graph the solution. Okay, next problem. Write the inequality represented by the graph. Now, this is like what we just did, but we're working backwards. Okay? So, I'm going to use x, because we always start with the variable and inequality. Variable, symbol, number. And then I want to know, is this going to be a less than or a greater than direction? It's pointing this way, so my arrow is going to point that way as well, and that's the less than symbol. Notice that all of these numbers are getting less than 2. Okay? Then I check, is it an open or a closed circle? It's open, so I do not put the equal sign under it. I leave it like this. And then I just put the number that we're at. We're at 2. So x is less than 2. That's that graph right there. Okay, if you missed that, I want you to tell me the inequality that is shown on this graph. Okay? Alright, we are now on question 16. It says, solve for x. 3x plus 5 equals 35. Railroad track, circle the variable, and everything attached. First, I'm going to get rid of this 5. It's adding 5, so I do the opposite, which is subtracting 5. So that would be gone. Now I have 3x equals 30. Okay, so I would do railroad tracks again and circle the variable and everything attached. 3x, this is multiplying. To get rid of multiplication, I divide. I divide by 3. When I do 3 divided by 3, it's 1. So now x is by itself. And 30 divided by 3 is 10. So x equals 10. Plug it back in and check it. 3 times 10 is 30. 30 plus 5 equals 35. So that is true. Okay, if you missed that one, I would like you to solve this equation and then check your solution. Okay, moving on. Find the unit rate. You studied for 14 hours last week. What is the unit rate of hours of study per day? So, 14 hours last week. First, you need to know how many days in a week. There's 7, right? So this would be 14 hours in 7 days. we want to get these days down to 1. So we need to divide by 7. What is 14 divided by 7? Well, that's 2, right? So we studied 2 hours per day. That's my unit rate. If you missed that, I want you to do this problem. Matthew eats 24 hot dogs in 3 minutes. That is his unit rate. Okay, next problem is a percent problem. What is 88% of 50? So I've got 88% of means multiply and 50. This one is a really straightforward one. It's not asking us to find the whole, so we don't have to set up a proportion. We can simply just multiply, okay? You can either do that as a fraction or a decimal. I will show you both ways. Okay, so first, let's do a decimal. If I write 88% as a decimal, I move it over 2 places to make it 0.88, and I multiply by 50. I'll do that in a second. If I wrote that as a fraction, it would be 88 over 100, which I would simplify to 44 over 50, and then that would simplify to 22 over 25. I just divide it by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. That's as simple as I can go. And then I would multiply that by 50 over 1. Okay? So, I know that 25 goes into 50 twice. So I'm going to cross simplify those. And 22 times 2, that equals 44. So this would be 44 over 1. So I'm getting 88% of 40, of 50 is 44. Sorry, you couldn't see that. Okay, now I'm going to go back and do this right here and check and make sure that that's right. 8 times 0, that's 0, 0. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 4 is 44. Hey, check it out. Move it over 2 places. I also got 44 there. So you can either do it as a decimal or a fraction. But either way, you're going to get 44 as your answer. I would like you to do this problem if you missed that. What is 68% of 50? Okay, the bonus question. Yesterday, 5% of the 126 graders at school were late. How many 6th graders were late? So we got 5% of means multiply 120. So that's all we're going to do. Same thing as the last question. We're going to do multiply 5% by 120. Now, remember, when you turn this into a decimal, you have got to move it 2 places to the left. Some of you are going to want to write it as 0.5. That would equal 50%, so don't do that, okay? 5% is 0.05. It's 5 hundredths. This is 5 hundredths. And you're going to multiply that by 120. Or you can do 5 out of 100, which would simplify to 1 out of 20, and you would multiply that by 120. Okay, so let's actually do the fraction first. Okay, I know that 20 will go into 120 6 times. So 1 times 6, that equals 6. So I'm getting 6 6th graders were late. Let's check that with my decimal multiplication over here. 0 times 5 is 0, 2 times 5 is 10, 1 times 5 is 5, plus 1 is 6. The rest of these are just zeros. So I get, move it over 2 places, 6 again. So either way you want to do it, decimal or the fraction is fine, but make sure you always do this out of 100, 5 hundredths, which would be 0.05. Okay, so if you missed that one, I want you to do this one. You sent out a survey to 200 people, and only 4% of them completed it. How many people completed the survey? Okay, so I want you to solve this one. Okay, so that's it for the Test Doctor video. Make sure you followed all of the instructions, that you watched the ones you missed, and you did the new problem as well, and then you can come and show me, and I can give you your points back.